President Biden is telling Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that an end to the violence between his country and Hamas needs to come soon. The two world leaders spoke again this morning. The White House says the president told the Prime Minister the U.S. expects a, quote, significant de-escalation today on the path to a ceasefire. Israeli rockets killed at least 6 Palestinians in Gaza overnight. Demonstrators in the West Bank clashed with Israeli police. They are demanding freedom for the Palestinians as the humanitarian crisis in Gaza worsens. CBS News foreign correspondent Holly Williams shows us the human toll of the violence.
Palestinian anger exploded onto the street in Ramallah, but the clashes, as always, were unequal. The Palestinians have been throwing stones, and the Israeli soldiers, who were about 300 yards away on that hillside, have been shooting tear gas canisters and live fire. It was mainly young men hurling rocks, but other protesters were middle-class families, children and white-collar workers. People like Maysoon Ali, who told us she's a banker.
Their lives is not worth more than our lives. It doesn't worth more than our kids.
And you're saying peace talks don't work?
No. 25 years, what did they give us?
4 Palestinians were reported killed, and Israel claims 2 soldiers were shot in the leg, though we saw no guns on the Palestinian side. Palestinian frustration is what fuels Hamas, a group considered a terrorist organisation by the US. It's fired more than 3,000 rockets at Israel since last week, killing 2 civilians yesterday. In retaliation, the tiny, poverty-stricken Gaza Strip has been shattered with blistering Israeli airstrikes. Israel says it's targeting militants. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his country's enemies are learning a lesson. But Susie Ishkontana is just 7 years old. She was pulled from the rubble after an Israeli strike, losing her mother and 4 siblings. Some of the more than 60 children killed by the Israeli bombardment, according to Palestinian officials. Hamas has told CBS News that one of its conditions for a ceasefire is that Israeli soldiers never again set foot in the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. Those who know this part of the world will tell you that is highly unlikely. Tanya.
Holly Williams, thank you. CBS News reporter and producer Haley Ott joins me now from Tel Aviv, Israel. Haley, welcome. We just heard Holly report that it is unlikely Israel will agree to that Hamas request to never again set foot in the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. Why not? And remind us of how an incident at that very mosque helped set off this latest round of violence.
Hi, Tanya. So this conflict is long and complex, and there isn't just one cause, but there are sort of 2 sparks that led to this current escalation in violence. One was the possible eviction of Palestinians from the East Jerusalem neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah, and the other was clashes that happened at Al-Aqsa Mosque at the end of Ramadan. Al-Aqsa is one of the holiest sites in Islam, and Ramadan is one of the holiest times of year. And Israeli police said that at the end of Ramadan, when many people had gathered to pray there, that there were people who were collecting stones for a possible attack, and that they needed to enter the complex to preemptively put a stop to it. There were some major clashes, and that, along with what was going on in Sheikh Jarrah, prompted Hamas to issue a sort of ultimatum to say, if these things don't end, we're going to start firing rockets, which they then did. Why it's highly unlikely that Israel would agree to not enter Al-Aqsa again is because they technically already aren't even supposed to go in there already. Israel operates major security operations all around the area. Jerusalem is tense, and Israel and the Israeli police are constantly responding to threats and assessing situations. And they already weren't supposed to enter Al-Aqsa, but they did because they deemed there to be a threat there. And it's highly unlikely that if a similar situation happened in the future, they wouldn't make the same call.
Right. Quickly, it's worth mentioning that, both governments or administrations, if you were involved in this conflict, both Hamas and the Netanyahu administration, are both, possibly on their way out. So it is another dynamic added to this conflict, that there is sort of waning support for both of those groups among their own, sort of constituents, if you will. Just one more, dynamic in the mix. But as we mentioned, President Biden told Prime Minister Netanyahu that he expects a significant de-escalation of violence today on the path to a ceasefire. Do you see that as likely? And are any other nations trying to step in and negotiate for peace?
Many other nations have been calling for a ceasefire and have been trying to negotiate some sort of peace. And this latest move by President Biden to say that he expected a de-escalation was very significant and was more than we've heard from him thus far. What the effect will be remains to be seen. Almost immediately after the president put out that statement, the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, responded by saying that he was happy that the United States continued to support Israel's right to defend itself. So many people internationally and in Israel and Palestinians all hope that there will be peace, but we really have to wait and see.
Right. And Haley, the civilian death toll in Gaza has been staggering. Dozens of Palestinian children have been killed by those rockets. Can you, given this talk of a potential ceasefire, what has the situation been like today? Does it feel calmer?
The conflict is very much ongoing. Overnight, Israel continued to bombard Gaza. And then today, Hamas and militants in Gaza continued to fire rockets into Israel. We were in a city in southern Israel when the sirens went off and we had to run and take shelter. And a number of rockets were exploded right above our heads, which were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome defense system. So while there is this talk of a potential ceasefire and there's hope for one by many, the violence is very much still ongoing.
Haley Ott, thank you so much for joining us, and stay safe. We appreciate your reporting.